The opinions expressed are those of the host. The material is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute investment advice, and it is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment. Visit crestmontpw.com for more details.
Welcome to the Ascent. My name is Sam McGee, and we have offices for Crestmont Private Wealth at 1 Riverway in Houston, Texas, and 604 South Main in Boerne. And we work with clients all over the United States that relocate away from the great state of Texas. So if you're listening to this and you haven't been listening to our podcast, we do talk about a variety of subjects. We do have different guest speakers, lots of different things we talk about. And one of the things that I think is really key to wealth management and isn't about money is the mental health side of retirement, preparedness for that, what that looks like, and you see this all the time. You see folks that work literally till the day they die, and they just, can't have that loss of identity that may be tied to their career, or financially, maybe they can't do it. But I've seen it where there's people that have, $6-7 million. They're still working and they're 70 years old, and doesn't make sense to me, but it has to, because there's an emotional adjustment that is necessary to retire. So today we're going to be talking about the emotional side of retirement, not the financial side, and some of the things that people face as they bear down that change of being at the office and being around colleagues and having a role and a purpose and an identity, and transitioning to purpose outside of work, which really we're called to do. It's not healthy to work your entire life from the first working age till the day you die. So I hope that those of you that are listening to this that may be thinking about retirement or are close to retirement or even nowhere close to retirement, that you really think about this and prepare yourself. That's the point of the show. So first off, there's a huge emotional adjustment when it comes to potentially some loss of identity. A lot of professionals tie their identity to their career, and without that daily structure, without that sense of purpose, retirees can feel lost. Some of the strategies that you can take to combat that is, explore some part-time work, maybe volunteering, consulting, to maintain some purpose as you transition from a full-time career to, sleeping in, hitting snooze on the alarm every day. The other thing is to plan new routines before retirement. Because if you have the same routine day in, day out, and then suddenly no routine, that's not good. Use hobbies, use learning opportunities to fill some of your emotional gaps and some intellectual gaps. I said this last week on the show that if you work all week with your mind, you should use your hands and feet on the weekends. And if you use your hands and your feet during the week and you're exhausted, you should read, relax, and use your mind on the weekend. It's a good way to counterbalance. So think about that in terms of retirement. What are the things that you enjoy doing when you have leisure time? What are some of the things that fill purpose? Start thinking about what those hobbies or interests could be, and start pursuing them before you retire. The other piece is the social connections and the friendships and your colleagues that you have at work. Whether you own your own business or you work at a large corporation, they do say that, and I don't have an exact source for this, but I've heard that the number of hours for a working professional that spends time at the office, they are around their colleagues more than their own family, other than, sleeping hours, of course. So these are important relationships, really important. So think about what you can do to either maintain those connections or join other social circles and groups. Maybe it's your church, a travel group, a gym, a club. I've seen this actually in Houston and a little bit near San Antonio as well. I see these alumni groups from companies. Those of you that have a fond memory of the corporation or the company you worked for, there are these alumni groups where men and women get together, they play golf, They play bridge and bingo and all sorts of stuff. And it's crazy. I mean, you just got to go look them up and you can find them. So definitely advocate that, maintaining those social relationships as you enter into retirement. And then also think about your lifestyle and what that's going to look like when you go into retirement. If you've led a pretty active lifestyle, meaning, you get up and you run or you walk or you go work out at lunch and those sorts of things, you absolutely want to maintain that in retirement. Very, very easy to get off that cadence when you retire because you have this brand new routine and suddenly you're all available. And if you're available and you happen to be a helper, you're going to get put to work pretty quickly. So make your priorities, the things that you want to do with your family, with your giving, with your time, make a map of what your routine is going to look like so you can maintain that lifestyle. Now, you notice none of these things we're talking about are financial. I'm assuming here that when you retire, you have the financial capability to do that. And at Crestmont Private Wealth, that's exactly what we do. We evaluate what a client situation is or a prospective client, and we help guide them through, hey, do you have your number to retire based off your income, your portfolio, your expenses, your lifestyle you want to live? And that is so important that you discuss that with your advisor, what retirement looks like. Because at the end of the day, if you have a certain expectation about a certain lifestyle and a certain way of doing things, and it hasn't been communicated, well, that may not fit the financial formula. So do talk to your advisor about it to make sure that you do go into retirement eyes wide open with the least amount of stress you could possibly have to do the things you want to do and maintain a great well-being. On the topic of money, financial anxiety. So when we talk about stress and we talk about the various things that just keep people up at night, financial anxiety is probably one of the biggest things throughout your working lifetime, but especially when you retire. Think about it. So for 30, 40 years, however long you've worked, maybe in the beginning you got a paper paycheck that you went and ran down to the bank on a Saturday in the morning, you deposit it, you got that free cup of coffee and you left. And then it turned into direct deposit, and then you got an alert on your phone, and so you saw that direct deposit. Bottom line is you have become accustomed to income. You become accustomed to income. Now, what does that mean mentally? That means that if you have a big expense, your AC breaks, you need to buy a new car, your daughter comes home from her freshman year in college and says she wants to join a very expensive sorority. Well, guess what? You have income. And if you have income, you can recover and pay for those things. Now, let's say you're retiring. If you don't have an income plan and you don't have a visual representation of how you are going to draw from Social Security, from your portfolio, what sort of income you're going to have and maintain, what is the risk of that income? Is it going to be variable? Is it going to be consistent? Well, you're going to have some stress, unless you're one of those people that stresses about nothing. And you people, we need to draw your blood and we need to do something with it, and we need to patent that, because most people do have a little anxiety going into retirement. But there are a few people out there that I've seen that just don't, and those people are amazing. We love you. But most people have this anxiety about money going into retirement, during retirement. So the best thing you can do is set a spending plan, something that aligns with your lifestyle goals. Work with your financial advisor to maintain clarity and confidence in your plan. This is not a one and done. You don't go and get your number before retirement and say, oh, good, I can do it. Pull the plug, and then you don't check back in. That's kind of like getting an overhaul of your lawn and having it fertilized and watered, and then shutting off the water, letting all the pests and bugs in, and not mowing it again. So it's just maintenance. Go in just like you would for a physical or a checkup. Financial advisors are there to help you maintain that clarity and confidence in your plan while you're working to build a retirement, after you retire. during retirement, maintaining that connection is so important. Now, that leads to another point. Let's say that you have a lot of difficulty in retirement. That is not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of change. That's a sign of just being a human. And as an advisor over the years, I have spent numerous conversations with those that have retired, and some that have done really well with it and some that haven't. And the sad part is if someone doesn't go and seek therapy and coaching or professional support for their transition and they just go back to work, that to me is not the right answer. If you financially don't have to, seek out professional support, life groups, maybe with your church, therapy and coaching, speaking to a therapist or a retirement coach. They can help you with the transition planning, navigating relationship changes, building confidence for the next chapter. And that's really a step above and beyond what a financial advisor typically does, unless they're a licensed therapist or a psychiatrist. So that's not what we do, but we do help coach behavioral coaching on money and how to maintain a portfolio. But what I'm talking about here is if you're really on a struggle course in retirement, seek professional help. Now, think about your purpose and your fulfillment. So a lot of times, passion and purpose intersect at work. But during retirement, it may not immediately. You might be kind of searching for different things to go do, trying different things. If it's not working and it's not purpose-driven for you and not fulfilling whatever activity that is, don't stick with it. You don't have to. No one's telling you that you're a bad person because it didn't fit for you. So really think about what's important to you to have a sense of mission, passion projects. It could be a business. Maybe it's mentoring younger professionals. Maybe it's getting involved with local boards or community initiatives. But do something. I don't think I have any statistics to back this, but I think this will resonate with our listeners. You see folks that may be a lot older, retired, and maybe a spouse passes. So many times, the second spouse passes within a year. You hear about that being maybe heartbreak or loss of routine. I think it's sometimes loss of purpose. And so using that kind of extreme scenario to transitioning from career to retirement, make sure you have a purpose. And if you don't, and you're listening to this right now, consider a retirement coach. If you can afford to retire, you can probably afford a retirement coach. I hope that this has been useful to some of you today. And if it's foreign and you are 10, 15 years from retirement and all you're worried about is money, don't be that person. Because at the end of the day, if you're able to get there financially, but you haven't prepared mentally, it's going to be a difficult transition. And there's resources out there to help you. At Crestmont Private Wealth, we pride ourselves on helping our clients with behavioral coaching, helping them not only financially with getting to their number that's appropriate for them, managing their money through retirement and prepping for retirement, but also guiding them to the right resources should they need them in this transition. I hope this has been useful to you, and I hope you have a great weekend, and God bless.